That would be perfect.
Good evening and welcome to the November 7th meeting of the Martin County Board of Education. All rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lord, I come to you to the throne of grace and mercy, and I ask that you will forgive us for all our sins. Lord, God, I ask that you will lead us tonight according to what the Martin County Schools needs, and to also to help us to see the future that is ahead of us and that all things are great. I ask that you will continually to bless the board members, our superintendent, and all the employees of Martin County Schools. In these things I pray, amen.
Amen.
All right, need a motion to approve the agenda. Moved and seconded to approve the agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you. Are there any public comments tonight? Okay, all right. Need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you. Recognitions.
Mr. McGill is here this evening. He's going to introduce some of our students that are performing a service project for us in schools. We have the board be appreciative of their efforts.
Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
We have a program that we started last school year. It's called the 2nd and 7 Reading Foundation. And you guys kind of look at a little information up there at your desk. So basically, it's a program. It was started at Ohio State University by 3 former football players at Ohio State. It is all about inspiring young kids to learn reading. And it's for 2nd graders. It's called 2nd and 7. And as you look at this about your packet, it tells you it's only about 6 schools in North Carolina who does this program. It's Riverside High School and South Creek. The rest of them are universities. So what we do, we go to both high schools and we go to all the elementary schools here in Martin County, and we read to the 2nd graders. Every time we go, we get a book, and it's theirs to keep, and they get it taken home. So tonight I have 2 students from Riverside High School and 2 students from South Creek. I have you guys come up. I have Bailey Hughes from Riverside, Justin Webb from Riverside, Tavon Lee, and Alyssa Carr. And both of those are students from South Creek High School and Riverside High School who goes out and reads to the kids. And I just want them to tell you something about it from their heart. Bailey's going to talk about how she feels about the program from Riverside, and then Tavon will tell you about the program from South Creek.
Hey y'all, I'm Bailey Hughes, and I just want to express to you how much this program has meant to me. At first, when I first started, I'm not the biggest fan of kids, but I have gone with the program every time we've gone to read. I've gone to Williamston Primary and I've gone to Janesville Elementary, and every time that I go, every time I walk into the classroom and being able to see the little kids' eyes like light up when they see me in one of my uniforms, either if it's volleyball, if it's basketball or softball, they just being able to see them light up, and they tell me about, even if it's not about reading, even if they're telling me about, oh, my brother plays basketball or my sister plays softball or I want to play basketball, being able to see them and them knowing that I play a sport and that's something that they do or something that someone that they know does, it makes me feel that they actually are interested. And whenever they have a book, usually we read the book called The Hog Mollies, and they're very excited about the book they get to keep. And you can ask Mr. McGill, the kids that he sees, sometimes they tell him they read the book every night. Even they love the books. And in being able to interact with someone that they have something in common with, it's very exciting to me to be able to see young kids being excited to be able to read. Come from the daughter of an English teacher. So I just hope we can continue the program in the coming years. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And this is Tavon Lee from South Creek High School.
I enjoy reading to the little kids because I feel like it motivates them to do better at a reading level. I just feel like I like interacting with kids. I like showing them inspiration. I feel like it's very inspirational for me to do that for them. And I know they look up to me, because, you know, I'm an athlete, you know. So, yeah, that's how I feel about it.
All right.
Thank you. All right. I thank all of you, and I love this program. There are few things more fun than reading to a child and watching those eyes light up. Thank you all.
Thank you.
I said all of them.
Mr. McGill,
Yes,
I just
ma'am.
want to say I follow you on social media, and so I've seen you all, and you are, like Tavon said, they look up to you, so you are a local hero, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brooks.
All right.
Dr. Monroe?
Information items.
Good afternoon, board members, Chairman Heath, Vice Chairman. Perfect. I've come to you to bring you information regarding the requirements with regard to our safe schools. We were awarded the Safer School grants that paid for our SROs, and we also received additional funds that will pay for some equipment and some training. So we're moving forward with those items and getting those things prepared. What we are required to do each year is to conduct safe lockdown drills as well as tabletop exercises. We're still in the planning process with regard to the tabletop exercise, which does include, instead of doing active live shooting, it is a form in which we bring in all emergency management and we go through different scenarios with regard to if a tanker truck turns over in front of the school and there's a chemical spill, what we're supposed to do, who takes what road and those kind of things. And so that's a large effort that we put into. But what we also do each year is, just like we practice fire drills and tornado drills in March, we also practice our lockdown drills. And this does not involve active shooter or anything. We want to check the readiness of our teachers and the response they're supposed to do, our administrators, what they're supposed to do to activate if in case there is an active shooter. So this is not all intents are involved with regard to those things, but it is just like I said, with the intent of a fire drill. You hear that alarm, what are you supposed to do? If you hear that call, to lock down, what are you supposed to do if you're on the playground? The principals will be notified that we will be starting these drills this month in November. They've had up to 6 weeks to make sure their black boxes are prepared. They had the beginning of the school year, the resource officers had gone through the active shooting with them at each of their schools. This happened before students were in the building, so everyone should know. We have also put in place, with the exception of the Innovation Campus, the rhino-wear lockdown on the doors. So with regard to substitutes, they don't need to have a key. All they do is go in and put that bolt down and that door is secure. We do have those coming on board in the months to come once we get the purchase orders taking place. The Innovation Campus will also be taken care of. But these drills will take place and involve just the SROs, and we want to go and see, make sure that everybody follows the proper protocols. If in case we ever do have to call one, we pray that we never have to, but we want to make sure we're ready if we do. That concludes that information on that.
Question, Dr. Monroe. Who sets the protocols or guidelines for school systems to set up their emergency safety and lockdown drills?
We have a guidance from the North Carolina Safe Schools that provides us with the information and best practices with the, and the North Carolina Safe Schools do fall under DPI, so we do have that in place. And this is in tandem with the emergency management system that the school resource officer or the law enforcement also is a part of. The school risk management plan is a part of SARA, which is the emergency management system. So they are linked together. And we are required through legislation for every site to have a school risk management plan that is a part of, which is called SHRIMP. The only school we don't have online with regard to compliance is Janesville, and for some reason it got left out. And we're now trying to get what they call the schematics, which is the blueprints for that school, and that's where they have to start. But all the other schools are in place. They got most of their materials in draft form. Principal will be reminded that we need, and SROs have been working together to make sure all of our stuff, and it is very detailed. Like I said, they have to respond to if a helicopter or airplane crashes, go through all those things, the unification of if that happens. So it's very inclusive and very detailed, which requires a lot of work. But once you get it done, it's done. It's just a matter of updating.
Any questions for Dr. McGraw? All right.
Thank you. Is every school going to have their drills the same day, or
No, ma'am.
will they know in advance, or?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I reckon that. I can see why they wouldn't.
Right. SROs, we provide a plan. We know the dates, and so that the principals, again, it will just be
Haphazard, like,
Right, yeah, so-
like a trauma would happen.
Right, yeah, so more than likely when they see me and the SROs pull up, they'll know it's their turn.
Yeah, right. Okay, I hope it goes well.
Yeah, Bible said, be ye also ready, so.
Yeah.
COVID updates. For the month of October, we had a total for the month of reported COVID cases of 6 throughout all the schools in Martin County. And then with staff, we had a total report of 6 positive cases. Again, as I shared with you in the prior month, these numbers may not be a complete accurate count simply because we only get the information of reported cases. We have several that may be positive based on their home testing kits, but those are not reportable to the CDC or to our health department. From Ms. Dr. Gray, Martin County, as of today, had 42 reported cases, 1 that is hospitalized, and we have just a total of 94 fatalities since the start of COVID in Martin County. Last week, you probably saw in the news that North Carolina was all green. As of today, there's 16 counties that have gone back to yellow, and Martin County is one of those counties that have gone back to yellow. But we're in a cluster of surrounding counties in the Northeast region that are also our neighbors. Pitt County are yellow, as well as Camden, Pasquotank, Dare, Washington, and Terrell County, and Beaufort County all went to yellow today. Our number hasn't gone above 34% according to Dr. Gray, but we are yellow compared to last week when all 100 counties were all green with regard to.
Are any counties green? I mean red?
No counties are red.
Well, that's
just the 16 new ones that there are. Like I said, the Northeast cluster had more. We had 10, and I think there's 6 somewhere in the central Piedmont area that went from green to yellow. And it may just be the spike of the weather, or it seems like everybody's having this uptick.
Yeah.
Our nurses are reporting most of the students' absences in our building have been flu.
Flu.
Yes.
That seems to be stronger this year, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So there's more flu than there is COVID positive.
Right. And because they mirror the symptoms, we follow the COVID protocol, but they come back negative. But generally, it has come back. It just had the flu. And that is as reported by the school nurses, and that comes in waves, and but that is par for the course for Martin County and the state. That concludes my report.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Monroe. All right, Dr. Daly.
Thanks, sir. First issue is the random suspicion of drug testing. This policy the board has had for a while in place for student athletes, folks who drive to school, and also any parents who wish to have their students participate. Back when COVID started in 2020, this program was suspended because students weren't in school. We came back, part of the students were in school and part of the students were not in school. As I understand, the policy was not re-implemented then in terms of difficulty in calling people randomly to get them tested. So we're getting ready to start the program back up. The provider that we had previously indicated they were no longer interested in participating in the program. primarily because they didn't want to incur the cost of contacting the parents to begin with. That's something they wanted us to do. The board, when they started this policy, was very specific on the fact that they did not want the school staff to know on the first test whether the child tested positive. Therefore, we really did not want to get back and we did not want to get in the business of being the person for the initial contact in terms of doing it. So we looked for some other providers. And in terms of talking to them, they made several suggestions about the policy and implementation that I'd like to propose for the board's consideration this evening. You should have a copy of the policy at your desk that's marked up. I'm not sure if it went out in the digital copy, but I didn't see it in the printed copy, so I brought one this evening. The first change that they were suggesting is on page 4 of 9, under the substances tested. Providers have been recommended we drop alcohol. This really is not a cost issue. They're more than happy to run it if we wish. The reasoning is that in their experience, they get a lot more false positives than they actually get accurate tests. They don't really get a lot of accurate tests for alcohol because even if the child was drinking the night before they're called, unless they're drinking still at 5 o'clock in the morning, so they've metabolized the alcohol before we ever do the test. So they said what we really they end up doing is contacting parents for things that aren't alcohol related, that they're incurring the price for taking the child to the doctor, raises a number of problems that they go through, and they just made the suggestion that we think about not doing that. The second change, it starts also on page 4. One of the issues that we've got, we require, the policy is currently written, requires that students make an appointment with their physician within 10 days to talk about treatment programs. It's getting awfully difficult in this day and time to get an appointment in 10 days, particularly one that takes more than the standard 15 minutes for a detailed discussion of a treatment program. We require if there's a second test that the child actually go through a treatment program. So what we're recommending is drop this first treatment program from the policy, leave it up to the parent to decide the best course of action to take in terms of doing it. That would strike that section 2 of the policy beginning on page 4, and also section 3 of the policy, which is on page 5, which refers back to that would no longer be needed because we weren't doing the required program.
Does the state make us do drug testing?
No, not for students. That was something the board chose to do at the time.
Well, why are we doing it?
There was a large push back in the 2000s when we did this to actually student athletes test them for after school participation for drug use, to try to decrease the student use of drugs across the board. The board adopted the policy at that time for athletes and then added any parents who would like to participate. In the past, we've had a number of parents who actually signed up to have their children tested. And also for those coming to school, it's not required that you do it, and the board can choose to drop the policy if you wished.
Well, it looks like to me, we would be letting parents know if we suspect something's wrong with a student. I don't know that we even need this drug testing. What do y'all think?
I believe
Random.
we do.
You think we do?
Yes.
So there's a lot of kids on drugs, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Claire, what world do I live in? Okay,
Been going on for quite a while, I think.
I'm sorry. I didn't know no better.
And this is presented as the first reading. Our intent is we'll do the second reading in December, third reading at the beginning of January, and implement the policy at the beginning of the second semester. Notify the students ahead of time that we'll be starting at that point if the board chooses to continue. Any questions or comments? Next issue is the after-school program, Kids Excel program at the last board meeting. We asked the board to consider having the program at Rogers and Janesville, which we did. Several members of the board expressed an interest in them also having the program available for South Creek and for the folks in Williamston. They had already started working with the Chance Center in the Robinsonville area, so they're going to be starting up there shortly in terms of doing it. Since we have buses going over to that particular area, going right by the Chance Center, we've agreed to provide transportation for anyone from South Creek Elementary School to the program that wishes to participate in terms of doing it. They also asked about using the space at Williamston Primary School, so we've secured space there for them to use that particular place if they want. And again, we can provide transportation for students from E.J. Hayes that wish to go to Williamston Primary, since we have the bus running back and forth. So this is just a follow-up to the information that was requested at the last meeting. Any
Have
questions?
we had the sign up yet and all
I
that?
think they're just starting to sign up. for some place. I'm
I'd
not
like
sure
to see how
We'll see how many
many
students they get.
participate.
That'll be fine. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Let's go over that.
Yes, sir.
At the last work session, we provided the majority of the school's school improvement plans. Ms. Green was not able to be with us at that time. She's going to present the one for South Creek Elementary School first, and I'll present the one for the district. The law requires we present them to the board. We'll then publish them online once you all have gone through and we've tried to answer any questions. And at the November work session, we'll ask that the board approve those so they can be submitted by the deadline in the beginning of December. I think it's December 6th is the date we're supposed to have them in if possible. So I'll ask Ms. Green to come forward to South Creek Elementary School.
And Ms. Green, it's good to see you with us this week. We trust you're feeling better.
I am feeling much better.
Great.
Thank you.
Good.
Good evening.
Dude.
Let me start first by saying thank you to the board and to Dr. Daly for allowing me to share the school improvement plan for South Creek Elementary. If you will look on page 1, you'll see our mission statement as well as our vision statement. You will also see our EOG scores, performance in reading. Your first chart is reading, and that the red and the green shows how South Creek Elementary School performed compared to the state. The second chart shows how South Creek Elementary School performed compared to the state in math. And there's also the different subgroups that you can see as well on page 1. On page 2, we have our grade level percentages on intergrade tests for math. And in third grade, it's 30%. And also, that was the previous year, that was in the year of 2021. And also in 2021-22 school year, third grade was at 19%. Fourth grade in 2021, fourth grade was 14%. 21-22, fourth grade was at 28%. Fifth grade in 2020 and 2021, it was 12%. Fifth grade in 21-22 was at 18%. And our goal, number 1 for South Creek Elementary, is that we will increase our proficiency in math by 10 percentage points each year for 3 years. And if we increase by 10% each year for 3 years, you can see that third grade is at 19% currently. The goal is to increase it to 29%. Fourth grade is 28%. The goal is to increase it to 38%. Fifth grade is 18% currently, and the goal is to increase that to 28% for the 22-23 school year. We also have strategies in place that we are hoping will help us to reach our goals. And our strategy, we're looking at iReady. We use iReady reading and math. We also use other math materials. And we also are very grateful to have our retired teachers coming in to mentor our teachers. And they're there pretty much 2 to 3 days out of the week. Teachers have been very appreciative of that, as well as myself. Students, we know, are learning a lot, and they're working really well with students, either in small groups, one-on-one sessions, and they're reading to those students or having students read to them. So there are a lot of things going on in our building that's positive. Also, we have our resource teachers who will next week begin pulling students as well and working with them in small groups, and whether it's reading or math. And we have,
What page are we on?
okay, that is your page 2. It's your second page, but you'll see 2 on the third page.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Also on where it says page 2 continues, we're working in small groups, one-on-one. We have revamped our daily schedule to accommodate these interventions. We're working with Reflex Math programs. And we also have teachers to visit other schools. They will be doing that. We have prepared for them to visit other schools, especially our beauty teachers. They'll be visiting other teachers. And I've contacted some of those teachers who are more welcoming them to come and visit them, to observe them, to see what is going on in their classroom. Also, on our next page, is page 3. Our grade level percentages on integrated reading test for EOG. Our second goal for South Creek Elementary School is to increase our proficiency in reading by 10 percentage points each year for 3 years. Third grade is currently at 17%. The goal is to increase it to 27%. Fourth grade is currently at 28% proficiency. The goal is to increase that to 38% proficiency for the 22-23 school year. Fifth grade is currently at 16%. The goal is to increase that to 26% proficiency in reading for the 22-23 school year. And that is on page 3. Also, we have strategies that we're using. We still use iReady Reading and Math. Interventions, we again provide experienced teacher mentors to assist teachers as needed in small groups, one-to-one sessions, and also to assist them with planning their lessons for the students. Our incentives, we are giving AR rewards and treats and field trips to our students. We have Think Up programs now already from the Teacher Toolbox. And also our AIG coordinator has been coming over. She's been working with our students as well. That is still page 3. On page 4, our grade level percentages on integrated science tests. For the year 2020-2021, fifth grade science was at 24%. In the year 21-2022, fifth grade science was at 21%. Our third goal is South Creek Elementary School to increase our proficiency in science by 10 percentage points each year for 3 years. Fifth grade again is currently at 21%, and the goal is to increase that to 31% for the 22-23 school year. We're using Gizmo Science. We're also using Learn Ed books, vocabulary list, and they will cover materials from various resources in other books as well. Students will have a unit test after each unit or after each of their 6 lessons that they will have, and then they will have unit tests using the Learn Ed books. On page 5, we also have professional development that we've already participated in or we will be participating in. Part of that is MTSS, and Leanne Hudson came today and she worked with our teachers with MTSS to make sure that they are targeting those students who are at risk and making sure that they're looking at each of the 3 tiers, tiers 1, 2, and 3. Again, we're using iReady PD. We had some iReady training last week. We're having data dives, and Ms. Raina Beach will be coming in to do those for us. We have letters training that teachers are also participating in. And we have some EBOS training that we will be doing. Ms. Beach will have an opportunity. We will schedule that for her to come in and look at our EBOS data as well. And I've also met with teachers to find out what PD that they feel as though they need in order for our students to continue to be successful. So they will be giving us that list. On page 6, iReady Reading and iReady Math. Percentages of students on grade level in iReady Reading and Math. Goal 4, South Creek Elementary will increase students on grade level based on iReady Math by 15 percentage points by the end of the semester. South Creek Elementary will increase students on grade level by 10 percentage points in reading by the end of the semester.
Set 15 or 5.
I'm sorry.
Goal 4. The first sentence. Set iReady Math by 5% point or 15?
15.
Okay, I have 5 here.
Fifteen, should be 15. That's what's on my paper, it's 15. Math is currently at 11% students on grade level in math after, our first diagnostic test. Our goal is to increase our overall number of students on grade level by at least 15 percentage points by, our MOY diagnostic test. Reading is currently at 34% overall of students being on grade level after our first diagnostic test this year. Our goal is to increase our overall number of students on grade level in reading by at least 10 percentage points by MOY diagnostic test. Okay, and this is page 6 in strategies that we're looking at is incentives for our ready at the end of each 6 weeks, and experienced mentor teachers to assist with planning creative incentives as rewards. Page 7. South Creek Elementary School's attendance report, percentage of students with 10 or more unexcused absences for the 2021-2022 and the 2022-2023 school years. Our goal, fifth goal is for South Creek Elementary School, we will decrease the percentage of students with 10 or more absences on less than to less than 10% by the end of the school year in 2023. South Creek Elementary School, students with unexcused absences for the 2021-2022 school year was at 59.3%. Students with unexcused absences for the 2022-2023 at the time that I compiled this report, we were currently at 4.4%. And our strategies are our CFST team, as well as teachers will inform parents of students' absences. We normally send letters at the 3rd absence, the 6th, and the 10th absence. And we send those letters to parents, and teachers make phone calls, and they'll just check to see why students are not in school. And this is how we are tracking our attendance data. And that is my report at this time.
Questions for Ms. Green?
Have we changed any of the materials that you're using, that they're using since our scores have been going down, like the Learn Ed books and things like that? Are we trying any new materials, or?
We're using Learn Ed books, and we're also using Gizmo, and there's Reflex as far as.
Now, what's Gizmo?
That's like a science program.
A program?
Yes.
Is this state approved, or?
Yes.
Mhm. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anything you can think of that would help your school improve? That anything that would cost money, or that, can you think of anything that we need to do at your school that would help?
I think having some, making sure our vacancies are filled. That would be one.
Getting certified teachers.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I can understand that.
That would help.
But it's no other materials or equipment or anything you can think of that would help?
We are looking at some other, we're looking at some more devices as far as, computers and things like
Do you
that.
have smart boards in the classroom? Do the teachers know how to use them for class presentations?
We do have smart boards, but we are currently using, our TVs.
Or the TVs?
Yes.
And the teachers are using them
Teachers are
correctly?
using TVs, yes.
They've had training?
Yes, they.
Doesn't hurt to ask.
No, ma'am, it doesn't.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Green.
Thank you, Ms. Green. Ms. Green, just one question. Any support, do you feel like you need any more support or anything to help?
If we, honestly, we met in our sit team on this past Thursday, and we talked about possibly having, some other personnel such as TAs come in and work with, continue to work with kids in small groups. And we also talked about having a person in our building full-time for our ESL students, because we have a huge population of ESL students. And I know the person that we have that's in the county, she will be working among all the schools. And with 45 students, we really need our own person, not being selfish, but I'm just saying that would really help us. We have some very intelligent ESL students, But because of the language barrier, it's difficult for them to grasp what the teachers are teaching. And teachers spend a lot of time, and they don't mind doing that, trying to make sure that students understand what they're teaching.
You have how many ESL students?
We have 45
That is
Hispanic
great.
students
That's
in
a lot.
our building.
And you do not have a full-time ESL person?
We do not.
Has this been brought up before?
Yes.
I thought we were told it wasn't that many students, that we didn't need full-time. Are they in kindergarten right on up, or is it any grouping of grades?
Yes, ma'am. They're from kindergarten through 5th. Actually, pre-K through 5th.
Yeah,
Some
okay.
pre-Kers as well.
Well, I would think if they started pre-K, by the time they get to second grade, they pretty much learned the language. Am I correct in my thinking?
Some of them may and some of them do not.
Glenn, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Green.
You're welcome.
For the district plan, school improvement, that really doesn't start at the district level, it starts at the school level. So we really tried to focus on what schools need to do individually and what the principals and their staff thought they needed in order to succeed. Then we put the district plan together to support that in terms of going through. So as you read through the strategies that you see here, they'll be the same ones that the schools have mentioned as they presented their plans. On the first couple of pages, on pages 1 through, I guess, 4, is a general overview of our current performance in terms of proficiency in both end of grade, end of course tests, in the end of grade test in reading and math for the elementary schools, and of course tests at the high school. If we look at those proficiencies, I guess the best way to describe it is we have a long way to go. In a short time to get there, I'm coming from a song that had a movie behind back in terms of doing it. Same thing is true of the EVOS and the growth data. We have a couple of grades that are doing the 7th and 8th grade in math have made great progress over the last couple of years. These were previously at minus 1 point something, now getting close to being at 0 or above. And then in 8th grade in reading, we actually have an exceeds growth. So we really need to look at what our 8th graders are doing and what our 8th grade teachers are doing in terms of making a difference for things to go through. In terms of the strategies, in terms of it, just again, these are based on what the schools did. The screen just mentioned our ESL population. You notice one of the strategies that we're looking for is to actually pay for folks to go back and become certified so that we can get more people serving the county. We currently have one person for the entire county, as she already indicated. And I've already spoken to Ms. Bowen also about trying to recruit someone from the foreign exchange program to come in and see if we can't get a native Spanish speaker that could help us in terms of working with students and working with families in terms of doing things. So I think I think the schools have done a good job of addressing their major concerns. And then we tried to put those in strategies we think will address those concerns in terms of doing it. Yes, Ms. Cargyle.
So do we have another ESL position and we can't
No,
find the teacher, or do we not have a position?
We don't currently have a second position.
We
So
don't,
No, we're actually looking at creating positions.
okay, if we can find
If we
a
can find
qualified
folks to do it,
person.
that's correct. And actually finding an ESL teacher, we weren't really able to do that, so we actually started at this point trying to find tutors. And even that's become difficult, so we're trying to expand our search to get some folks in here in terms of making that happen. Because that population needs to succeed along with everyone else. Ms. Council.
Dr. David, my concern is that does every employee of Martin County School understand where we at on our low performing and our academics for our students? And are there, are there the department heads, I'm gonna use that across the board, that's
Okay.
administration and the school, and kind of keep this at the top level as we go through all of the suggested changes and everything that we do.
I think I'll say they're becoming aware. I think it'd be the best way to put that. all these plans were adopted, they were developed by the school, they voted by the school, on by the school improvement team, and then they voted on by the faculty. So the faculty of each schools had to sit there and look at the numbers that are sitting before them that you all have seen over the work session and tonight. So they're aware of what the numbers are. I think the principals are adequately and more than aware of where we stand in terms of performance. And I really think you're committed to try to get it to improve. I'd also like to commend them on, it would be easy to come in and set goals that are easy to make. I mean, one strategy for improvement is saying, well, let's just increase performance and we're gonna just concentrate on the ones we can just bump up. And you can increase performance by 10%, you get those just on the borderline and try to eke them over without really paying attention to everyone else. I think they've really looked at developing plans that go back to our idea of we want every child to be more successful every year. So I think they've got strategies that are focused on the whole school in terms of doing it. So the answer to your question in short is, I think they're becoming aware very quickly. I think we need more training with the EVOS, as you heard Ms. Green and others say, which we're starting on a district level, and then we'll do on the school level, so that teachers actually understand the reports that are there and can use those to help analyze student growth and make it work better.
So they are feeling it.
From what I understand, yes, I think so.
Okay.
I've had a couple people tell me that they really think I'm unrealistic, and that may be true. I mean, those of you that know me from the past know that I have high expectations. We set high goals. Principals bought into that. It'd be easy to say we're going to improve by 5 points when schools actually are shooting for 10. It'd be easy to say we're just going to make growth when we're shooting for exceeding growth. So I really think they're really looking at ways to correct the problems and make us more successful.
So in saying that, when they say that you're setting ridiculous high goals.
Well, I think they're challenging but achievable.
Yeah, okay, even though they're saying that they are hard to meet, to me, it's like they're not buying into this, really seeing what we really need to improve the education of our children.
And I think at this point that may be true, but I think as we go on and people really, we just started the process.
Mm-hmm.
I think the other thing that's hurt us is because of COVID and the delays in testing, we've gone for 2 years without the state really providing any data to schools. So I think it's time to get back to paying attention to the data that we've got. And so I don't mean that as being hesitant. I think they just think that sometimes they think I shoot too high. The principals, I think, accept, but I made the suggestion, they're the ones who actually accepted it and moved on. So I don't believe that's the case, and I believe they're capable of getting close. And the last thing is, if South Creek Elementary School wants to try to improve by 10, and they only make 7 or 8, it's still a significant improvement from where we were, and I'd rather shoot high and just miss it than shoot medium and make it, if that makes sense. And I think that's the attitude the principals and their staffs have taken.
So the other questions, I have 2 or 3. The strategies that has an assigned budget, does this mean that they are added to duties of the people or the other person's responsibility?
You mean the people responsible?
Like, maybe it was on one page where I said no budget, but yet you have some people working it.
At the school level, that you'll see school staff that are responsible. I think at district staff, you'll see the district staff that will work with the principals to help them work with their teachers and other folks.
How much of this the professional development has been implemented, and how long? How much more is needed?
Let me get back to that page.
That professional development is pretty much on all the pages, but.
What we try to do in this is break it down into the actual district-wide thing that we've got going for staff development.
Because like most of them timeline are August 2022, for this year.
Correct. These are things that we started at the beginning of the year and are ongoing as we go through the year. As we develop plans for next year, that'll replace these that are here. So in the spring, the principals will meet with the curriculum directors of the other and plan the staff development sessions we really think we need at that point as we go through next year. And they'll do that again each year for the time that the plan's in place.
And the intervention blocks, are they done before school starts or within the school?
during school and sometimes try to find that time after school.
After school.
Yes.
Define tier 1 and tier 2, 3 plans.
Tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 refer to the status of the students in terms of their performance. Tier 3 of those, I'm hoping I don't have this backwards. I have to read over the terminology sometimes. Tier 3 of those are the most critical, so they're the ones farthest behind. So I did to move them up into tier 2, which are just slightly behind, and then into tier 1, which are on at or above grade level in terms of performance.
So it's the opposite of 1 is.
1 is the highest,
grade
and 3 is the lowest. I'm looking back, they're nodding at me, so I didn't mess that one up.
Okay. So, and it also said maintain a duty-free period for each teacher. They don't have a duty-free period?
They do, but one of the requirements of the law is that we attest that we have that in terms of these schools. Remember that these school improvement plans are specifically tailored to meet the requirements of the law for low-performing schools. And one of the requirements is that we indicate that each teacher has a duty-free period of some type during the day to meet the requirements of the law.
So that's not a change then, that's
No, it's
just
not a
the
change, that's
day.
continuing.
Right.
But again, we included it because it specifically stated that they want us to have that included.
Okay, and I think I got one more. I went through this Sunday, slowly but surely. Are there information from school counselors, social workers, of who they call, the conversation and outcome of the parents and students of attendance? And how were there, if there was a need, were they given assistance to the parents?
As I've said, they keep a log of who they call. We're required to do that by law, and the notifications that we send out to the parents.
So if a parent has a need that prevented that child from being on time or not being at school, are we helping them
We
to?
try to help them get the child there, that's correct, to the extent that we can.
What's a thrill share call?
That is the calling system we use to distribute, when you all get the random calls to go through, they come out, so that's our system notification. The price there you see is what we pay each year for that to take place, to use that system service. So the all calls, I guess, is the way we put it.
Okay. All right, those are the questions I had concerning the
Any other
district
questions?
improvement plan.
Yes, ma'am.
I just have a comment. I mean, all this looks good on paper, but I guess the real test will come in and see how the proof is in the pudding when the test scores come out next year.
I think there are two things that will happen. First thing is the actual proficiency scores will come out. So that we'll have those, we should have those, a rough estimate of what they are sometime in middle to late June, after the testing's taking place. State won't send us their finalized data. We should have the state finalized data at the end of June. But my experience lately is we're probably not going to get that until September, which is later than we really need in order to use it. So that will be the first indication. The second indication, and I think the more important indication, will come after that, which is the growth data, which indicates how much our students have gone above what they would normally be expected to be. I mean, we have a lot of students that, because of the last couple of years with COVID, that are really far behind. Some of our students can make 2 years growth and still not be on grade level. So the performance data in terms of proficiency is important, but it's probably secondary to what you'll get later in terms of the growth data, and the way that we get out of being low performing at the school level, the fastest way we get out is it requires you exceed growth for 2 years in a row. So by doing that, we then flip ourselves out of the school improvement mode and back into the continuous growth model, which I think is where we want to be. So I think there are two indications that you'll see. The one may not look as good as we think it should, but the growth is the more important one. I would encourage the board to look forward to getting that as you get into the fall of next year. I'll be anxious to look into the paper to see whatever it was. Might tune into that meeting. Yes, Ms. Council.
And in reference to Ms. Massey's question, for inspiration on the teacher and the student, are there tests or data collected that, can inspire them, let them know that they're making an improvement before the end of the year?
We do, and I think Ms. Green mentioned one of them when she talked about the I-rated data. That's a monitoring system as we go through that shows where the student starts. There's a goal that's set for them at the end of the year. So we kind of monitor their progress as they go through and try to do that. We also have the tests given by the state, the North Carolina check-in. We'll be giving the first one of those shortly,
They're like,
assessments.
they're like the benchmarks,
Yeah,
right?
they're like benchmark tests by the state. So we can tell where the students are, and then we'll project from that where we want them to be as they move through and make goals for them as they get toward the end of the year. So as we monitor that, we'll have some idea of the progress we're making.
Okay.
Dr. Daly, I think we could say that biology and math 3 wins the prize on the lowest scores, wouldn't you?
I'm not sure that's the prize we want to win.
What?
I'm not sure that's the prize we want to win, but
Well, no, right, I mean, yeah.
yeah, in terms of doing it. Well,
The most work is there. What are we gonna do different?
we're doing a number of things. I think first of all, we're paying attention across the board where you keep seeing unpacking standards.
Mhm.
To go back and actually look at what is the state asking us to do? How much time are we spending doing it? And we're focusing on what we have. In terms of biology, as an example, one of the issues that we seem to have had in some places is about 50% of the test is genetics and evolution, which means we ought to be spending 50% of our time on
Yes,
genetics.
and are we doing that?
Well, a lot of times we're not because we have so much other stuff to teach. All of it's important.
Well, we better
So-
prioritize according to the team.
I believe you'll find that they are.
I think so.
In talking with the teachers, I think they've really looked hard at what we're supposed to be doing and how to do it. And again, not having anything over the last couple of years to guide where we're not hitting things, because the state really has not provided the information. You're shooting in the dark. Now that we're just now getting the information. Things that we should have had in July before we started school, we're now trying to implement halfway through a semester or partially through a semester. We'll be better prepared second semester classes than we are first semester classes. And one of the things the principals did, which I think was a very smart move on their part, they went in at both Riverside High School and South Creek High School and moved as many of the tested sections that they had to second semester
Uh-huh.
so that we would have time to review the data before they started teaching the classes to the extent. You can't move everybody, but they put a lot of the honors classes up front because those students tend to do better. We had to schedule some regular sessions, particularly for students who are taking a course for a second time so we can get them to move on. But other students, they moved to second semester so we have more time to plan and the teachers get a better idea of what we're trying to get and how we get there.
Throughout the state, does the biology course, I don't know if it's ninth grade like it used to be or what,
Maybe a 10th grade
Okay.
or 11th grade class.
do they all use the same resources?
Do they all use the same resources?
Like
They're-
particular websites? I know you can't say textbooks anymore. That's an ugly word, but
Well, actually, it'd be a nice word if we had the money to buy them, but we don't.
gosh,
There are a lot
let
of
them read
similar.
a chapter, you know?
One of the other things we're doing, we're also looking across the region to our colleagues in the Northeast and other places, to those schools that are being more successful than we are. A lot of them are in the same boat, but the ones that are being more successful, look at what they're doing. And if they're doing something different than we are, using something different, so that we can get that to get into place.
We got to do something different to get different scores.
Yes.
So let's keep looking.
I wish I had a magic wand to make it disappear. The issue going back to this is not rocket science. Identify the standards, define the standards, start developing things to do it. But it's really, really hard work. It's hard work for teachers, and I think they're putting that in. We also need to remember it's hard work for students. And we need to start changing the mindsets about what's acceptable levels of performance. I really don't believe, this is my opinion, not others. I made my voice known to the state board, they didn't listen to me. But I think the move to making 60 a passing score was a detriment to students taking things seriously.
Mhm.
So I mean, students think they're passing, when students have a 70 average, which would have been a D before, it's now a C. So I think it's more, we need to really start working with folks understanding what rigor is. And without, I'm not saying failing everybody, but we really need to make our courses more rigorous and gradually build up the expectations for students to make good
Well,
grades.
I still think we need to examine the material
We are.
that we're using.
We are,
Because I assume all the biology teachers are certified.
they are.
So
I know
it's got
I'm
to
gonna
be the
take that back.
material.
As far as I can remember, I don't think we have any vacancies there, and I think everybody we have teaching
Right.
biology is fully certified.
Right.
And the principals also made some changes to who they've assigned to teach certain courses.
Okay.
So this is not a thing of lack of effort or commitment. I think the principals are committed. Talking with the teachers, I think they're committed. I think but again, it's going to take time to make it work.
Well, we're not doing something right, so.
But it took a while to get here. It's gonna take a little while to change it. I just hope we see a significant change.
We've been talking about the biology for 4 years, at least.
Well, the state has across the state. I mean, if you notice, the state, we drop more than the state. But everybody used to be above 87%, and the bottom fell out of a number of those.
Thank you.
Okay, again, as required, we'll bring this back with the board for approval at the November board meeting to approve both the school plans and the district plans, and then submit them to the state. Any other questions? I think next is Tilly.
Good evening.
Good evening.
For information tonight, you have a quarterly budget report. It's done as of September 30th, so we should be at the point of having spent about a quarter of our money. You will notice that several of the funds are less than 25% spent. That's okay. As you know, our teachers don't come back till August, and so this report includes July, so there's not some teacher salary expenses in July. And so we're good in state. We're moving along with that. Federal is low, but we are required with the ESSER money to budget that out through the end of the grant cycle. And so ESSER 3 money will not expire until 2024, but all of that entire pot of money is in this number for budget. And of course, capital is low, but as you know, it takes time to plan projects, get quotes, have people come out and review what needs to be done. And so very confident in where we're at with our spending at this time, and just wanted to update you where we were by fund. Are there any questions?
And what's that? Ancillary services?
Yes, ma'am, that's school nutrition.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you, Ms. Tilley.
We go to the next action. Move on?
Yeah.
Okay. Tonight for action, there are 2 budget amendments. This, you guys know, DPI amends our budgets all the time. It's constantly moving. Since I've done this, we've had 6 other amendments. So we're gonna try, so you're not inundated with them each month. We're gonna try and bring them like on a quarterly basis or something of that nature every 2 or 3 months and bring you up to date with that. But this amendment 1 for the state is just some additional funding that we received in normal pots of money, no new money. It's just, they finally allotted school connectivity funds. They gave us money for our child and family support teams that we didn't have as of July 1, school technology. And so that's just, this amendment is just putting those funds into place so that we can spend those. And then amendment 2 is the federal funds, and they gave us some additional funding in ESSER 2 and ESSER 3 money. Not a lot, about $5,000 in 171 and a little bit in 181, but putting it out there so that we can, again, budget for that and spend it appropriately. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Request the board approve the budget amendments.
All right, need a motion to approve the budget amendments.
Move to approve budget.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the budget amendments. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you. The articulation.
I'd like to, first of all, thank Mr. Gard and Ms. Kristen Berry. They've been working with the community college for a while. I'd also like to thank the folks at the community college who have really stepped up over the past couple of years, I think, looking at it and listening to their discussions in terms of trying to be of service to the school system. One of the things that they've agreed to do with is formalize our articulation agreement to formally identify which courses they're willing to get credit for and the standards for doing those. So this is the beginning of that process in terms of doing it. I think as the discussion goes on, it will be increased. There's one change that they submitted recently as they looked back over it. You should have a sheet that's there with a highlighted section indicating in the top part that there's no guarantee that the university will accept the credit that the community college gives. They can give the credit, but when they send that on to the university system, particularly the private universities, they don't always honor those courses for credit in terms of doing it. What you see behind that in terms of the courses, they've gone through with work of the staff that we have here in the CT department, identified the courses that we have that can articulate, indicated for the students what grades they have to make to do that and what scores they need on the test. I think this will help us get to the system that the board has been asking for, particularly in working with parents to begin with, as we develop school plans, say, here are the courses you can take. If you can do this in the class, this is what you can get for it, and will help our students become better prepared before they graduate. So I'd recommend, if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them, or if I can't, I know Ms. Christopher can.
So these will happen on one community college campus?
Now, these are actually our courses. These are students take with us, so that they're taking them now in the normal course of events. These are in addition to the courses they take at the community college. What the community college is saying is, if you pass your high school class with these standards, we will give you credit for them. So it makes it easier for them to complete their program at the community college.
But all of it will happen on Martin County School campus?
That's correct.
Okay.
So there'll be prerequisites for the college courses.
They can, they
They take here.
can either get credit for them, or they can be used as a prerequisite. They can be used in lieu of the college course as prerequisite.
Right.
Correct.
Sometimes they can get college credit for it.
That's correct.
So we take
And
it guesswork out of there.
and sometimes they can get both.
Yes,
They both get the credit and credit for the prerequisite.
yes.
Puts them in much better academic standing.
We need,
The board needs to approve, that's correct.
all right, I need a motion to approve the articulation agreement.
Move to approve articulation agreement.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the Martin County Schools and Martin Community College articulation agreement. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passed, thank you.
Any personnel is it?
Perfect, so would you read the close?
Mr. Chair, I move the Martin County Board of Education enter closed session subject to advice from the attorney pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A1 and A6 to prevent the disclosure of confidential personnel information under General Statute 115C-319 and to consider matters relating to initial employment of an individual employee. The board will also go into closed session pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A3 to consult with the board's attorney in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege, to consider confidential student matters as provided in North Carolina General Statute 143.318.11A1 and the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act 20 U.S.C. 1232G and North Carolina General Statute 115C-402. The board will also go into closed session to establish or instruct staff or agents concerning the terms of a contract or proposed contract for the acquisition of real property as provided in North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A5.
All right, we have a motion to go into closed session. Need a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Closed session granted. need a motion to approve the personnel as presented in closed session.
Move to approve personnel.
Have a motion and a second to approve personnel. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you. And need a motion to approve the closed session minutes, and we will need to keep them closed.
Yes. For October 3rd and 17th.
I make a motion that we approve October 3rd and 17th and keep them closed.
We have a motion and a second to approve the closed session minutes and to keep them closed. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, nay. All right, that covers the business for the evening. I have two things I wanted to mention. First, this is strictly an informational item. The United States Postal Service recently released information that in 2023, they will be releasing an extra ounce stamp, paying tribute to the humble yellow school bus. And the other thing that I wanted to bring up, I know we've had early voting for several weeks. Tomorrow is election day. I hope everybody either has or will vote. And to those of you that are running for re-election, I wish you the best. Does anybody else have any comments? Yes, ma'am.
I want to appreciate the athletes of Martin County School that assisted the second graders in reading. I'm like Deli. I don't like little children, but she, I mean, I ain't saying I don't like, I am not comfortable with them. I am not comfortable with them. They got too much energy for me. And how she came to recognize how much fun, how much time and interaction that she had with them and helped motivate them. But that's a good thing. And to be only school among the rest of the school district with the university doing this, we need a clap again on that. Coach McGill for his efforts in getting our athletes involved in us and what is that word for them? As for mentors for our students.
All right, we will have a work session 2 weeks from tonight on November 21st, 6:30. Any other comments? Meeting's adjourned.
Well,